Okay. 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 It appears that we are online. Well, let me stop talking as loudly. Now, I don't need to talk as loudly because hello? Uh, okay, sorry about that, guys. I just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure that it was working. It didn't look like it was working. Now, I actually just wanted to let you all know that your boy has a microphone now. So I've got crystal clear audio quality on my stream now. And I can be an ASMR podcaster and just sound like this the whole time. But I won't do that to you guys. I will not do that to you. I will talk normally. I won't yell probably. But we're gonna talk. We're gonna watch this video, "The Inconvenient Truth About the Republican Party." So if it's anything like the one about the Democratic Party, it'll be full of lies. Let's listen.
Racist, sexist, Republican. These words are virtually interchangeable, at least according to most professors, journalists, and celebrities. So are they right?
Yes. Uh, I mean, it's just kind of how the parties become. It's not the fact that like they're actually. Also got a new water bottle. Delicious. But it's not the fact that. It's the fact that the party hasn't done anything themselves to break away from that racist, I, that identity.
Let's take a look at history. The Republican Party was created in 1854. The first Republican Party platform, adopted at the party's first national convention in 1856, promised to defeat, quote, those twin relics of barbarism, polygamy, and slavery. Those twin relics were spreading into the Western territories.
I mean, yes, slavery was, but I mean, polygamy was just kind of the Mormons. Everybody hated the Mormons. A lot of people still hate the Mormons. I'm just kidding. They love them because they have a musical all of their own.
Republicans feared that as those territories became states, polygamy and slavery might become permanent parts of America.
They got the little Utah. That's where a lot of Mormons settled around Salt Lake City area. They got that right, and they got slavery right.
Life. Polygamy, the marriage of one man to multiple women, devalued women and made them a kind of property. Slavery, of course, did the same to blacks, literally. The Democrats were so opposed to the Republicans and their anti-slavery stance that in 1860, just 6 weeks after the election of the first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, South Carolina, a state dominated by Democrats, voted to secede from the Union. The Civil War that followed was the bloodiest war in U.S. history. It led to the passage by Republicans of the 13th Amendment, which freed the slaves, the 14th Amendment, which gave them citizenship, and the 15th Amendment, which gave them the vote.
Okay, what you're saying here is all true. I mean, you're also kind of just like generalizing the fact because you're like, oh, well, Republicans and, the Democrats, every single Democrat fought for the South in the Civil War, which is not true. Not every single Democrat fought for the South. There was the Northern and the Southern Democrats. Just like you have today. Well, not really, not so much, but back, especially during FDR's time, It was a big thing, was the Northern and the Southern Democrats. Even when you talk about the 1964 Civil Rights Act, a lot of the people who voted against it were the Southerners, not the Northerners. Northerners overwhelmingly wanted this. The Southerners pushed back against it. More Southern Republicans pushed back against it than Southern Democrats, actually.
In 1870, the first black senator and the first black congressman were sworn in, both Republicans. In fact, every black representative in the House until 1935 was a Republican.
I wonder why. I wonder under whose presidency in 1935, maybe a certain, oh, I don't know, a New Deal coalition. But there was never a president that ever advocated for a New Deal or anything like that. No, never. Nope. Certainly not. My boy FDR. Yes, I have a bust of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Great president. I actually also have a bust of John F. Kennedy. Really good man. I like them both. Two of my favorite presidents.
And every black senator until 1979 was too. For that matter, the first female member of Congress was a Republican. The first Hispanic governor and senator were Republicans. The first Asian senator, you get the idea.
Okay. But if the Republicans were so good, why is it just the first female member of Congress? Why isn't it the first female member of Congress and the Senate? Why isn't it the first Hispanic governor and senator and congresswoman? Why isn't it the first governor, congresswoman, and senator? You know, like, you're trading off. You're cherry picking the firsts. You know.
And also kept their pledge to defend women's rights. In 1862, the Morrill Anti-Bigamy Act was passed by the Republican-controlled Congress to put an end to polygamy. In 1920, after 52 years of Democratic Party opposition, the 19th Amendment was ratified thanks to the Republican Congress.
See, I will give Republicans this. If I had lived back during this time, if I lived, let's say that I turned 18 in 1918, if I was able to vote, which actually wouldn't have been until I was 21, so let's say that I was 21 in 1916. Yeah. So let's say that happened. I probably would have been a Republican. I would have liked the ideals that the Republicans are bringing forward, not the Democrats. But that's in the past. Democrats used to be opposed to this stuff. Now they are for it. And now that they're championing this, you say that they're complaining and that they're whining about being oppressed when they're not really being oppressed. But when Republicans do it, it's a virtuous cause, being the white knight charging headfirst into danger. Do you see the hypocrisy there, or is your head too far up your own asshole to see the difference? Okay, let's keep going. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 second. Come here, cat. Come here. Okay. Cool. Sorry. The cat was all over the place. Yes, Susie's down here at college with me. I cannot have the love of my life without me. You know. So yeah, let's keep this video going.
Which pressured Democratic President Woodrow Wilson to drop his opposition.
Okay, Democrats don't like Woodrow Wilson. That's just a fact. I mean, I've never been a fan of Woodrow Wilson. He's just always been a terrible human being. Fun fact about Woodrow Wilson, he was a governor of New Jersey at one point. In 1910, he was elected governor of New Jersey after being the president of Princeton University. I feel bad for Princeton in the early 1900s.
Women's rights. In the final tally, only 59% of House Democrats and 41% of Senate Democrats supported women's suffrage. That's compared to 91% of House Republicans and 82% of Senate Republicans.
Also, can we talk about the fact that we're already 2 minutes into this fucking video and we haven't gotten to like modern day Republican Party? Oh, here. It looks like we're about the 4:30 mark. We're gonna hit something about the modern day, but that's look at all this. Look at all of this. Look at this whole video, and you give like this tiny little thing at the end here for the modern day. It's like with the Democratic one.
It really was a war on women, and it was led by the Democratic Party.
Yes.
But while Republicans had won a major battle for women's rights, the fight for black civil rights had a long way to go. In the 1920s, Republican President Calvin Coolidge declared that the rights of blacks are just as sacred as those of any other citizen. By contrast, when famed sprinter Jesse Owens, a staunch Republican, won 4 gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympics, he was snubbed by Democratic President Franklin Roosevelt. Roosevelt only invited white Olympians to the White House.
Yeah, because there was this thing called the New Deal Coalition. And the New Deal Coalition was made up of social democratic parties, well, like social democrat, pretty far left supporters. And then you had kind of the moderates, and then you had the Southern Democrats, and you had the black labor, you had the black unions and the labor unions, and basically, if you look up the New Deal Coalition, you'll see that the Southern Democrats were a big part of that New Deal Coalition. FDR wanted to please the South, and you know how you please the South? By not entertaining a black person. You know, that's a surefire way to get the Southern vote. Wait a minute. Give me 1 second, guys. I just realized something. I think. Oh my god. Changed. I'm an idiot. Oh god. I had oh shit. I forgot to plug in my mic. So hopefully I'm actually gonna go on my shitter account. To plug in my mic, so hopefully Alright, sorry about that, but I was just testing it. I was just trying to see. So, now the audio quality is better.
2 decades later, it was a Republican president, Dwight Eisenhower, who sent the 101st Airborne Division to escort black students into Little Rock Central High, when Arkansas Governor Orville Forbes, a Democrat, refused to honor a court order to integrate the state's public schools.
Again, you're channeling. Yes, history is important, but you're trying to frame the modern Republican Party as it was back then. It's not the same. The party switched, things happened.
The Civil Rights Act of 1960, which outlawed poll taxes and other racist measures meant to keep blacks from voting, was filibustered by 18 Democrats for 125 hours. Not one Republican senator opposed the bill. Its follow-up bill, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, is one of the landmark pieces of legislation in American history. That too survived a filibuster by Democrats thanks to overwhelming Republican support.
Again, you're framing this as if it's just the Democrats versus Republicans. It's Republicans versus Northern Republicans and versus Northern Democrats, and Southern Democrats versus Southern Republicans. Southern Republicans actually did not like this, voted the least amount, along with Southern Democrats. But Northern and Republicans and Democrats both supported this bill very much so. So you're framing it in a very dishonest way.
But you might be thinking, all that's in the past. What have Republicans done? Women and blacks lately.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering the same thing. So if you could just kind of tell me, that'd be great.
The answer you'd hear from professors, journalists, and celebrities is not much. And this time they'd be right. They'd be right because the Republican Party treats blacks and women as it treats everyone, as equals.
Ha!
The Democratic Party never has, and it still doesn't.
Okay, I actually don't get this. Like, hold on.
Today's Democrats treat blacks and women as victims who aren't capable of succeeding on their own.
Okay. So here's some tea. Let's think about this for a second. You're saying that when the Republicans champion for civil rights and women's rights, it's a glorious cause. But when Democrats do it, well, you're just saying that they're the victims. I don't know. It sounds like sound logic to me.
The truth is, this is just a new kind of contempt. So there is a party with a long history of racism and sexism, but it ain't the Republicans. I'm Carol Swain for Prager University.
Also, can we talk about the fact that she didn't talk about really the modern day Republican Party? She basically stopped after the 1964 election, or the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and then the 1964 election. You know, the one where Barry Goldwater, wanted to overturn it. Barry Goldwater, a Republican, wanted to overturn the Civil Rights Act. Can we talk about that, Carol Swain?
Thanks for watching.
No.
To keep our video.
Fine. Guess we're not talking about that, Carol Swain. What's next? No, I don't want to talk about that. We'll listen to that one another day. I'm tired of Carol Swain. It's probably her again.
Britain votes to leave the European Union. The United States elects a president who says he'll put America first. Around the world, nationalism is winning elections.
That's scary.
Many see this nationalist revival as the great danger of our time.
It is.
Fearing that nationalism will take us back to a more primitive and racist past.
Yep.
But it wasn't long ago that great political figures such as Woodrow Wilson and Teddy Roosevelt, David Ben-Gurion and Mahatma Gandhi, Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher.
Okay, let's go over this list right here. You've got Woodrow Wilson. I know I said that I didn't like him, but There is one thing that he did somewhat not really right, and that is foreign. Basically, he wanted to intervene in a lot of things. He wanted to be an internationalist. He is an internationalist. He's not a nationalist. Never has been. I mean, just look at his 14 points. That's not nationalistic. Teddy Roosevelt was a nationalist so much so that he actually declared wars in order to expand the borders of the United States. Same with Ben Gurion. He, two-time Prime Minister of Israel, basically during the Suez Crisis in the 1950s and 19. I don't want to get this wrong and somebody call me out on it. Suez Crisis. Yeah, 1956. So basically, in 1956, David Ben Gurion, two-time Prime Minister of Israel, was telling France and Britain to invade Egypt so that they can control the Suez Canal again. Mahatma Gandhi wanted national sovereignty, which, yes, while it is by definition nationalist, it's not the same that you want. This is national sovereignty as an independence. Ronald Reagan is Ronald Reagan. And Margaret Thatcher, yeah, she's a nationalist. I mean, Ronald Reagan was kind of a nationalist, but he was also internationalist because, like, he wanted, like, trade deals and stuff. And he also, like, funded the CIA and stuff. You know, I mean, it's complicated. So, you've got internationalists, two nationalists, so nationalists that they declared wars, national sovereignty, traditional nationalists, and it's complicated. Real nice list here.
What I call the virtue of nationalism. So what is this virtue? A nationalist believes that the world is governed best when nations are free to chart their own independent course, cultivating their traditions.
No, actually, nationalism is not that. Nationalism is an unhealthy obsession that your nation. I love how he's got like this little guy and it says "nation proud." Yes, they're proud of their nation, but to a horrifying extent, to where they might invade their neighbors just to spread their nation, to make their nation larger.
Pursuing their interests without interference.
No, honestly, a nationalist would call for America to invade Mexico and Canada. Okay, let's be real here.
Nationalism is not about racism. All nations are internally diverse. And it isn't about isolationism.
No, it's definitely about isolationism. I mean,
of course, nations can pursue a variety of different policies in diplomacy and trade. Nationalism is the opposite of imperialism, or globalism, or transnationalism.
Okay, hold on.
Which are all names for the attempt to bring peace and prosperity to the world by uniting mankind.
Okay. No. We're stopping right here because no, you're wrong. And I'm going to tell you in a second. I have to get another water. Sorry, I'm getting more water. Don't mind me. I'm just debating if I want to. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Hold on. Here's the lid. I want to make sure I had the lid to my bottle. That would have been terrible if I lost the lid to this brand new bottle. Alright, here we go. But no, imperialism is not. Imperialism is the spread of your nation into another nation because you believe that your nation is superior and that they, by your God-given right, should be your lessers. That's what imperialism is. And I love how he throws in what was it? Let's see, what was it again?
Imperialism, or globalism, or transnationalism.
Yeah. These two are the same thing, and this basically just means that, like, you know, it's more countries are more interconnected, you know, that they have wider reaching treaties and stuff. But this is just, my nation is better than yours, and I have a right to subjugate you.
Which are all names for the attempt to bring peace and prosperity to the world by uniting mankind under a single political authority.
What?
The debate between nationalists and globalists, then, is over whether we should aspire to a world of many independent nations, or to be one unified superstate, like the Enlightened Federation of the Star Trek movies.
Okay. I don't know any globalist. Well, I don't know any globalists in general, but I don't know anybody who, you know, is for more just, you know, cooperation between nations in a global capacity. I don't know who says that they want to unite every single country under. They just want countries to talk to each other instead of going to war. War should not be their first choice. It should be the last solution.
A case can be made for both sides of the.
Also, this is a very simplistic thing. It's either you either have. Hold on. You either have many nations, or you have one big government, and nobody likes the big government. Big government is big bureaucracy. Yeah, so that's what you're saying. That's a very simplistic argument to make, honestly. Like, that's very, like, 2-year-old-esque. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think you just need to stop. Just stop talking. Stop talking.
But for the last 30 years, really, since the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the end of the Soviet Union, the one world side has been dominant. Today, this is changing.
Okay. There has never been a one world side. It's just been a nation. Basically, it's just trying to make sure that wars don't happen as often. Because I'm sorry, I don't want to start World War III.
Not among elites, but among ordinary citizens, or as they're known in America, the deplorable.
Oh my God.
It turns out that a lot of people still think good borders make good neighbors.
Also, first off, what's with this guy's face? Man, everybody else is drawn so nicely. You got the raw end of the deal there, sir. Also, good borders equals good neighbors. Well, I mean, I don't know anybody who's calling for open borders. It's just making it easier for people to get in. You know, relaxing some things. Maybe making it not a misdemeanor to cross the border at not a point of entry. Or maybe not saying that it's illegal. It is illegal, but it's only a misdemeanor.
It's surprising that people want to preserve the way of life they and their ancestors built up over centuries.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, did you not hear that? Sorry, that's my dog whistle alarm. This is just a big old dog whistle for, hey, I want to go back to the way my
The way of life
dad and grandparents had, back before women had the right to vote and blacks were still in slavery.
believes best. It's human nature. Our strongest loyalties are to those who are closest to us, to our family, then the larger community or tribe, and finally to the nation. Long ago, it was discovered that the key to human freedom is to build political life out of this natural loyalty. By putting decision making in the hands of the family, the community, and the independent nation, you could get people to cooperate with one another.
Okay, but why does it have to be that way? And then why can't those nations talk to other nations and stop themselves from going to war? How much more?
Join in the common defense and willingly obey laws. The only alternative to this kind of community and nation based politics is to use force, to coerce obedience. In the 20th century, communism and Nazism both sought to impose a universal vision at gunpoint. Both the communists and the Nazis were imperialists.
Okay, the communists weren't imperialists. They just wanted to spread a communist revolution around the world because they believed that if they got every nation to become communist, then it would be a utopia on Earth. The Nazis, I guess you could consider them imperialists, but they were nationalists. I mean, they were called the National Socialist Party. It's got national right in the name. Listen, if people can use Hitler was left wing because he had his party named as National Socialist, socialist is in the name. I can use the same excuse. Shut up. Also, that's not an argument. Just because they have socialist in it. There's a really good book about the rise and fall of the Third Reich, and basically it talks about how, there's a section in there that talks about how Hitler came up with the name of the party. He came up with the name of the party because he wanted to show that you had, because people would have fallen for the socialist aspect. That's why they went, because they thought it was a socialist one.
They wanted to eliminate the independent nations of the world. Nationalism holds that borders are crucial. The border is where each nation's ambitions should stop. This idea first appears in the Bible.
Okay, listen. Germany, their nation was everything to them under the Nazis. That was their nation. They wanted to expand in order to get Lebensraum, or living space, in Eastern Europe. So you tell me about that. Why is that? Why did they want that? Why did they? I guarantee you, if you asked a Nazi, well, back then, if you asked a Nazi, were they an imperialist or a nationalist, they would say they're a nationalist. Because nationalism is bad. I'm going to say this again. Nationalism is bad. Do not subscribe to nationalist ideology.
It first appears in the Bible, where Moses gives borders to Israel and tells the Jews they'll be punished if they trouble their neighbors. True to its biblical roots,
yeah, but then they did.
The Reformation of the 16th century made the independent nation state the political cornerstone of the modern world. When Henry VIII declared that England would no longer obey dictates from Rome, he became Europe's first true nationalist.
All right, I don't know if I'd call Henry VIII the first true nationalist. He only really broke away from Rome because Rome was like, you can't just fucking divorce your wife because he didn't give you an heir, and he goes, watch me, I'll start my own church with blackjack and hookers. If anybody gets that reference, good on you. But, yeah, no, this is dumb.
Soon, additional nations declared their independence. The Dutch from Spain and America from Britain, to cite just two examples. The competition among these newly independent peoples led to an explosion of innovation, bringing unprecedented progress in science, industry, and government. For nearly 400 years, the principle of national independence served as the foundation for a better, freer world.
Okay, nationalism and national independence. Nationalism has multiple definitions, but the definition you're trying to use here is trying to conflate with the other definition that most people use. Is that nationalism is a strong obsession with your nation and blind loyalty to your nation, which is what you want. But you're talking about national sovereignty. Which is different. Wanting national sovereignty is different than being a nationalist and wanting your country to trump other countries.
But World War I and World War II changed everything. Traumatized by these catastrophic conflicts, many now seek comfort in a simplistic narrative, ceaselessly repeated, that nationalism caused 2 world wars and the Holocaust.
It did. Nationalism, basically the reason that World War One started, World War One started because a bunch of nations thought that they were better than everybody else. Germany, Austria-Hungary thought they were better than Serbia. Russia thought they were better than Austria-Hungary. Germany thought they were better than Russia and France. Britain thought they were better than Germany. France thought they were better than Germany and Austria-Hungary. Italy thought it was better than Austria-Hungary. And America thought it was better than everybody. So nationalism caused that war, along with imperialism and, armament, other things, militarism. The military buildup of the nations. And nationalism, the Nazis came to power through nationalistic means. And the Holocaust was perpetrated. So yes, nationalism caused 2 world wars and the Holocaust. You're trying to rewrite the definition of nationalism in order to suit your narrative because you want people to be nationalistic. You would rather go back to the status quo of Europe before 1914 because that's what you want.
But this is one of the great untruths of our time. Adolf Hitler was no nationalist.
Ha! Okay, no, Hitler was a nationalist. Hitler was such a nationalist. Oh my god.
Imperialist. If his ambitions had been limited to ruling Germans, it would have been terrible for Germany. But the French, the British, the Russians, and everyone else would have been spared a world war.
No, because Germany, their ambitions were to secure land for their nation. They wanted to have bigger borders, which meant the elimination of other nations not caring for their national sovereignty. Something that's another definition of the word nationalism.
Sadly,
finish up this fucking
European
video.
elites learned the wrong lesson, believing that independent nations are inherently dangerous. Better, they reasoned, that all countries should live under one government. In 1992, this vision gave birth to the European Union. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher hated the idea. She didn't want the bureaucrats in Brussels making decisions for Brits in Birmingham.
Okay, the European Union is not it's just to make trade and travel between European countries easier. It's not going to form into one big European superpower. It's just a bunch of nations with making sure that trade is easy between all of them.
In the utopian 1990s, Britain thought it was better to dump Thatcher and go with Brussels. It's the spirit of Margaret Thatcher, and indeed of Henry VIII, that reasserted itself in Britain's vote for independence from Europe in June 2016.
That and also all of the lies that were perpetrated by the UKIP party. Just the incredible amount of lies.
Donald Trump tapped into the same spirit of nationalism 5 months later in November 2016. Nationalism is making a comeback. If you care about freedom, you should hope it succeeds.
If you care about freedom, you better hope it succeeds, and you better hope that your nation is strong enough to actually conquer other nations. If not, your nation's getting fucking killed. I'm going to make sure of it personally. I will lead the death squads to ransack your own home, ransack it, murder your wife and children, and your parents, and then probably rape your small children, and then shoot you all in the face because, I'm a nationalist and I want my family to have a better house, and you have a better house than I do. So, meh.
I'm Yoram Chazoni, author of The Virtue of Nationalism for Prager University.
Shut up.
Thank you for watching this video. To help keep PragerU video...
It's 41 minutes. It's a healthy length. Alrighty. So I hope you all enjoyed. This has been a great time. Sorry, I'm just kind of testing this mic. I gotta test this out myself one time. Anyway, thank you all for listening. I hope the audio quality is a lot better. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just remember to bash the fash and always keep alert from whatever you see. Thank you and have a great day.